Basketball is my life. I have nothing else.
This is incredible. This is the best grateful for I've ever heard.
Shooters. That's what we do.
Shooters, a basketball podcast. Let's go.
All right. Welcome back. That's right. I'm doing it. Season 2. It's actually episode 32 in total since the very beginning of our journey together. So that's exciting. Jack, how the hell are you doing on this lovely Tuesday afternoon?
I'm doing very, very well, but I'm about to quickly start this episode with a special shout out. The shout out goes to us first and foremost for continuing this campaign of Thursday releases. We're looking sharp. We're on schedule. We're doing great. And then secondly, shout out to my mum right now. So I know you're listening to this. You're either driving to work on a Thursday or you're coming home from work on a Thursday. But I know she looks forward to this every Thursday. And I'm wondering if anyone else out there now is getting into that routine of chucking on the shooters on a Thursday. Because I tell you what, not only do Darren and I like Thursday night games because, you know, the weekend's coming. Now, I also like Shooters Pod Thursday because I know the weekend's coming as well. So you can start to build that routine into your week. Shooters Pod's out. It's almost weekend. What a time to be alive.
I like that. I wish my mum supported me and listened to this podcast. No, I'm kidding. Basketball isn't a jam, but it's all right. She actually, the early episodes when we were, just chopping up a bit more about life stuff, even though we still cover that stuff, she did tinker in it, but it's all right. I know she supports me. But shout out to your mum as well.
It's funny you say that because my mum's she loves following the NBL since I've jumped into it. But she was saying to me the other day, I've never been so up to date with basketball news. I've never been so informed. I know what's going on around the league because I listen to you guys every Thursday. So there you go. We're spreading the NBL knowledge.
It's a good thing. My dad actually, he's a very loyal listener. So hi, Dad. Hope you're well. He's he always makes me laugh because he always texts me not negative things about the podcast, but if he's not happy with something on the court or something we're doing at the NBL, he's not afraid to tell me. So it's good to have that person in your corner, tell you how it is.
100%. You need that feedback. Well, we'll jump straight into a little bit of kind of what we're going to talk about today because big news broke today. It's Tuesday that we record this. Go into a little detail, Darren.
Yeah, it was sort of nice timing for us because we were just like, okay, kick off the show with news that dropped a few hours ago, and that was Illawarra letting go of Jacob Jackomas. So I didn't see that coming yet, even though, people always float these sort of stuff around, like once a team's struggling, the poor coaches always get the blame. It's always that thing. It's just like, oh, the team's not going well, let's just fire the coach. But unfortunately, he's been let go. Jason Tatum's dad is now the interim head coach for the time being, which is, his name's Justin Tatum. So yeah, he's just been elevated, but yeah, big news out of Illawarra. What did you make of that?
100%. Well, for the listeners that don't know, Jason Tatum is an NBA All-Star,
yes.
Incredible basketball player, and his dad was actually brought over as a skill development coach.
That's right.
So he was working closely with the next star to try and kind of increase his skill, teach him how to be a pro, develop him into hopefully a Jason Tatum-like player, so his own son. So that's really cool that he's gotten that chance to step up. And then you always got to get the kind of personality, the person side of it away. You never want someone to get fired. You don't know. They got family. This is their livelihood. This is their job, dream, the goal they've been working for. So that's always a sad part. But I was talking to a couple of boys today. If I was a GM, I'm firing head coaches left, right, and center. If I was to run a program, I mean, if you're not getting results or putting in processes to where you're building a culture day one, I'm firing coaches. So for me, it's very obvious when you look at a team like Brisbane this year. You look at a team like Brisbane, their results are meaningless because you can see from the outside the type of culture they're building, they know the head coach knows exactly what he wants. You know what they're going to be working towards. You can see his brand of style being injected into the game. And so you can see that. And for me, if I was a GM and I couldn't see that straight away, I'm snapping my fingers and we're rolling people in and out of my program. So I'm not saying fire head coaches, but if I was a GM, I'd be keeping a very short string, just like players and imports. If you don't find success as an import first year in, you're getting fired and you have to move to a different team. And I'd be doing something similar.
It's just accountability for everyone. Like as much as it's a rough business. Everyone knows basketball is a brutal business like that. But I was going to ask you, with this change, is there any sort of changes in terms of players maybe playing minutes or not playing as many minutes as they are? Is there anything you straight away point your finger to and you're like, Justin Tatum, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want to see from your new Hawks?
I would say for me, it's holding every single player accountable to defensive principles.
Yep.
You have to hold your best player accountable on the defensive end.
Nice and simple. I like that.
Yeah. What about yourself?
No, I was going with a more like a sort of specific. Well, actually, no, yours was specific, but mine was player focused. But you know what? I always shout out the young guns, and I think the obvious answer is like maybe we'll probably. I assume we'll see more AJ Johnson. I assume we'll see probably more Lockie Ulbrich, but Todd Blanchfield. I reckon. I know we had a down season last year, but he's getting DNPs for them at the moment. But I just think he's coming off a great NBL 1 season. I think just injecting a veteran like that actually, you know, he knows what he's doing. He's been around the ropes for quite a while. I just think actually giving someone like him more consistent minutes just to be almost like a coach on the floor as well, I feel like that will help the young guys especially. But hopefully we get to see those young guys a bit more as well.
I like that take. I think that's a great take. Mitch Norton in the exact same situation last year. New coach comes in and just brings in his own guys. And sometimes that happens. That's the beauty of the beast of the game and the sport, the business side of it. Goes to Brisbane this year, and look at him. He's helping them win games, playing 30 minutes a night, some night, doing what he does, which is win basketball games. So I like that take. More Todd Blanchfield we might see in the future.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Quick ones before we get into the games. But Alex Sarr, number 1 on the Athletics' new mock draft for the 2024 NBA draft, which is exciting news. We've never had a number 1 prospect come out of the NBL. LaMelo was close at number 3. But it's exciting. I don't know. You obviously don't know. It's still early days. Like college has just started. NBL, I don't know what percentage of the way we're through, but you never know. We might have our first ever number 1, which is cool.
It's definitely exciting. And then we had a little special guest, not myself. You had a special guest this week that came through. Tell us about it.
NBA legend, I'm calling him, former number 1 pick himself. So that was a good segue. John Wall. He was in Australia. He was in Southeast Melbourne's training facility, and he was working out with them. I was lucky enough to go down there and just sort of capture some content, some photos, some video. It's always funny when someone like that, even though we don't get it often, but when someone like that comes down and as soon as he steps foot in that gym, all eyes are on him. There's a few cameras following him around, but he was nice enough to actually just introduce himself to all the guys, sort of sticking a camera in his face. There was only a few of us, but I still feel a bit weird sometimes doing that stuff, even though he'd be totally used to it and he wouldn't care that some Australian guys doing the same with him. But it was cool meeting him, and yeah, he introduced himself. Nice guy. Didn't 100% like work out with the team, but he was kind of just like on the side. And then him and Gary Brown especially were doing some drills later in the day, which was cool to see as well.
I like that. The thing I took away from what you just said was that you still refer to yourself as a kid, and age is irrelevant. As long as you're feeling young, who cares if you're in your 30s? You know, we can be kids all we want.
I actually backtracked on that really quickly. So I was just like, you know what? John Wall's like 33. I'm 30. So I'm not a kid to him, even though I'm still younger. But for anyone that doesn't know, John Wall is a part owner of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, which is where he was training. So yeah, just kind of cool to meet someone like that.
That is cool. And then you also had a birthday. Am I incorrect in saying?
Well, that was so yes, Jess's final 30th birthday celebrations. Went to a nice restaurant in St Kilda on basically St Kilda Beach. Great day it was a good time.
I like that. Well, should we get into some basketball talk? Another good round. Do you ever have them? Would you like to start us off?
Please, yes. Perth got the points over New Zealand quite convincingly. I just stared at the name Bryce Cotton because we warned you a few weeks ago. We were basically just like, don't poke the bear. He's gonna come back and beat Bryce Cotton. He was always gonna do that. We didn't know when it was gonna happen, but this weekend was kind of, you know, when I'm gonna say it happened, because he got 37 points on 60% shooting, which is not a bad game, if I do say so myself.
I tell you what, do you completely understand why last week I was scared to say anything?
Yes. You were scared multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah, I will. As long as I live, I will not be the guy. Do not come to this podcast if you want to hear Bryce Cotton slander. I've been put on too many ISOs. He's too good of a player. He's done this for such a long time, it was inevitable.
Yes, 100%. 100%. It was always going to happen. A few other tidbits with that. McDowell White, I know we've talked about it. You talk about it a lot, where it doesn't matter who starts the game, it just matters who finishes. But I still find it interesting that he's coming off the bench. And another one, Corey Webster, they're kind of tinkering with the lineup there. He got a DNP in that one after, I'm pretty sure he was a starter like the past few weeks. So that's an interesting move as well.
It is. It's with us versus New Zealand this week. It's been a game that I've been studying, and Perth played some good basketball. Cairns versus Illawarra. Cairns got the win, 81. Illawarra 71. I didn't get to watch this one, but it was the last coach game by the head coach. What were your thoughts? How'd it go? What did you see?
Well, actually, we'll speak positive on Illawarra as much as we can, because I like that he kind of tinkered with he being Jacob Jackomis or Jackomis. I never know how you say that properly, but we're rolling with one of them. But I actually like that he tinkered with the lineup, and he put Taylah Harvey on the bench to begin this one. So I was just curious how that was going to work. Clearly, they didn't get the points, but I actually admire him for making that call, because it would be a hard one to make, especially you're basically choosing, in a way, Justin Robinson, who's been there less years than Taylah Harvey has. So I found that point interesting. But yeah, Cairns got the win.
I like that. Would you like to give us some of your quick thoughts on the Tasmania-Adelaide game before I don't shut up about it?
Yeah, true. I was actually going to ask you a question about Cairns. Josh Roberts, I always find it very interesting. So like NBL, you bring in imports to basically, in theory, have a big part of your team. Like they're going to be, whether you have two or three, they're going to play a significant part in your team. And to put it bluntly, that's just playing a lot of minutes. But Josh Roberts doesn't get out there all that often for Cairns. So I just wanted to get your, takeaway or whatever your thoughts are on an import basically coming in. And he only had like 4 minutes in this game, and it's not unusual this season for him to do that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting one. I mean, it's something I haven't studied Cairns too much because we haven't played them yet. Yeah. But I know he's fresh out of college, and sometimes it can take some time to adjust to the game of professionals. I mean, you even look at someone like Brady Menick and the struggles he had to start, and then looking really, really good towards the end of the NBL, and now he's playing in the EuroLeague or Euro Cup ones. I think in the EuroLeague, playing really, really well. So sometimes it can take time, but it definitely is interesting because he's not getting much of an opportunity out there. So we haven't really seen what he does, what he's capable of, and as long as he's handling it well and handling it like a pro, I'm sure he'll have a long career. But I can only imagine it must be pretty tough for him right now.
Yeah, for sure. I reckon it'll just be good to see him get thrown out there for like 20, 30 minutes a game, purely for the fans to see what he's capable of. But anyway, Tassie, you guys got the win by 10 points, but Adelaide wouldn't go away. They were like that, annoying insect on you in the inside of your house. I wouldn't leave you alone. But basically, you guys got the win, so that's all that matters. Yes. Oh, and you were looking, can I just say, you were looking spry out there. I messaged you this. You were looking bouncy. You were crediting some of your training stuff the other week, getting you right, but you were looking good, and it wasn't just that dunk that opened up the game. There was a few layups, there was a few moves, and I was just like, this man is moving quite well.
Thank you very much. I've been working on it, and I definitely feel like I'm moving better out there. I feel like the feet are doing well, the body's under control, and everything's doing pretty good. But we came out strong. I think our starting lineup is just elite. Like our plus minus every single game is looking pretty good. I tell you what, I got to give a special shout out to my friend too, Nicky Marshall. Yes. Hey, he got chucked in there, instant impact, played well, was looking aggressive, like himself, and showing another glimpse of what he's capable of. And so that was good. And then my boy Drim, heading back. You always have extra emotions playing your old team, especially, if it ended a little messy or you didn't get what you wanted or how you felt like you deserved to be treated or whatever it goes. There's always a little bit of extra emotions there. And he hit some big shots in big times, played hard, did a great job on DJ, who's a world-class scorer. And it was good fun.
I was going to say, did it shock you when he shaved his beard, Drimic?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's been good. So obviously he shaves his beard. He looks very, very different.
Did he give you a heads up?
Yeah, he sent me a photo before, he didn't give me a heads up that he was going to do it, but he sent me a photo of when it was done. I was like, oh,
who's it?
But, it's crazy, but I like it. So the next day, so he shaved, And then we went up to Launceston, and so he shaved the day before. We played the game, and then we had like family day, like a little, just all Jackie's families come through, hang out. And he said of about the 500, 600 people there, 400 people, he reckons over half would have made a comment, didn't even, and he reckons about half of those comments. So he would have had 200 people say to him, "Oh, I didn't recognize you out there. I was looking for you." And so at first it was funny, but the 200th comment about not being able to find him out there, he was pretty sick of it. So if you see Drim, I wouldn't recommend making that joke because he has heard it 300 times. So the team right now, the boys, every time we see him, we continue to make that joke and try and get under his skin a little bit.
Rightly so. It's always funny when people are just being polite, like that it's doing that thing, and then you hear the same thing over and over again. I get it a fair bit with like being an identical twin. Like whenever me and my brother and Michael are in the same rooms, we were actually at a game the other week in Melbourne, and the amount of people, it wasn't 200 or 300 like Dream, but there was a fair few that were just like, "Oh my God, I don't know which one you are." And then they kind of just like sit there and laugh a bit, and you're just like, and you just kind of have to put on a brave face, so to speak, and be polite, be positive. But it's just like, yeah, we've heard it all before. Moving on.
That's nice. What do you think is the most common, or any that stick out that has actually been funny, or that you're like, wow, that was a good one?
I think there are a few ones that they don't pop in my head right now, but there are a few like jokes that I'm like, wow, I haven't heard that one before. But there's the classic of like, oh, which one's the evil one? Or you could be I don't know. You could be any of you right now. Like you could be Michael, and it's just like, yeah, fair enough. I could be, but I'm not.
Nice. So if we see Darren, don't comment about him being the evil one, guys.
Yes, just don't say which one's evil. That's very unoriginal.
All right, nice. That's the one people have heard. Well, we'll go on a tangent. We'll keep this going. The tall one, because we get a tall one a lot, is like, you always get the, "Oh, you make me feel so short," and we're like, get away from me. But I did have a good one the other day. I jumped in the elevator with someone. And it was an old man. He was 90 years old, curled over. And he put on this little voice. He said, "Oh, sir." And I was like, "What's going on?" He's about to say something about my height, because every time someone stops here, so he goes, "I'm just curious. When you're having a shower, is the water cold by the time it hits your feet?" And that one got me. I enjoyed that one. I hadn't heard that one before, and I said, "Good on you." We had a little chuckle together.
That's quite good, actually. I like that when people are original with it. You would get that a lot, actually. Last one on this game, Will Magnay back. Good to see him back. Obviously didn't play a heap, but you just want those guys to stay healthy. Bit like Tyrell Harrison, which ironically enough injured himself again. But good to have Will back.
Yes, it was good playing with him out there. He's just a big, strong man, and it always takes some time to get that like hand-eye, the flow of the game, the pace you can't really replicate. But he's a beast, and he's a vocal leader for us, and so it's good to have him out there, and really like he plays with that physicality and that energy that's jack jumper basketball. So it's good to have him out there.
Yeah, for sure. Melbourne, Southeast Melbourne. I was 100%. Well, I'm not going to say 100% sure, but I was convinced to myself that this is one of the throwdowns we call it. I feel like this might be the only rivalry name that has stuck and kind of is successful for both teams. Kind of roll with it. So credit to whoever thought of that one. But where I was going with that was this was one of the throwdowns where I actually thought Southeast Melbourne would very likely win it, just due to Melbourne's injury woes. But as Derek Rucker said on one of our NBL products, you can never doubt Chris Golding. He was great, and people are suddenly, actually I don't know about suddenly, but they've kind of just realized what a quality season he's having, and they're putting his name in the MVP conversation.
Wow, there you go. I haven't heard about that one. I mean, Melbourne right now. Yeah, there you go. That's some insider information right there. But Melbourne is playing some good basketball. What did you like about Melbourne, that like kind of that win? Anything you liked in particular that made you go like, "Oh, this team is the real deal"?
I think it must be like their depth. Like Flynn Cameron specifically, he came on. I think it was like 14 points. I think I'm just going to say that's likely to be a career high. I think he had like 4 threes as well. But I think it just goes to show, like, even though they had Luke Travers out, they had Ian Clark out. I think Huckporty was still a bit injured. Definitely missing one more. Oh, Daly wasn't playing, but it just goes to show that guys step up. Like Shea Ely was good. Flynn Cameron, as I mentioned. Kyle Bowen, we mentioned his form shooting the other week, but he's been doing very nice things, especially for a first-year player. So I'm going to say their depth.
It's a perfect answer. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. It was good to see my old teammate, Daniel Johnson, out there. It was, seeing him make his way to the free throw line, the good old DJ getting fouled, but I think he's a nice little pickup for them. I'm not sure how much he's going to play or in terms of how many games, but that is must-watch TV when he returns to Adelaide for the game this weekend in Adelaide. That is going to be good fun, and I'm hoping he goes out there and has a good game.
Surely. Yeah, no, that'd be nice. Can you tell us something about DJ that we might not know? Because I feel like he gives nothing away in all of his years at the NBL. Is there something about the great man that would interest me?
DJ, there's a few things. One is people don't realize, because he's quiet, the work ethic in which he had. So one is he showed up every single day, was never injured, never sick, never took days off, got in his work pre-practice, got in his work post-practice, off-season, on the court, in the gym, every single day. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't know about him. And the second one is he's the original Sauce. So everyone called him Saucy.
Yes.
When I was in Adelaide, I didn't hear a single person call him DJ. It was Sauce or Saucy, because the way he plays is just silky, saucy, the little fadeaways he's doing, the little touch shots. And so he is the original Sauce. I was introduced to him as Saucy. This is Saucy. And so it's pretty funny that both the big Sauces have ended up on the same team and are going to be working that front court together.
Too much sauce in Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix, but hey, that's I like. I was saying to someone, I was surprised someone didn't pick him up earlier in the season, but here we are. Anyway, last one, Sydney Brisbane. Not sure if you got a chance to properly watch that, but lead us in.
Well, Sydney got the win, 104 to the Brisbane 95, and this game was the games of highs and lows, ups and downs. Who's going to win? This game's over. No, it's not over. The comeback. It was hard fought. This is one that would have pissed off Brisbane. You don't want to say deserve the win, but they played well. They played hard. Sydney, when they're running in transition and going on those runs, they are tough to guard. And overall, that was just an exciting, fun game to watch.
I'm not gonna lie, I was 100% rooting for Brisbane to win. I just wanted them to, they've had that sort of a bit of momentum, and then I think they may have lost their last one, but I just wanted them to get the win over the bigger dogs in Sydney. But Sydney were too good. DJ Hogue, great down the stretch. I kind of label that as sort of like his welcome to Sydney moment. Like he's getting that health, he's getting a few reps under him now. So I think he hit like a nice M1 down the stretch, then he stole it, got the dunk down the other end, let out a little celebration, which we love. But and Josh Bannon again, great. Really, really like his game. I just like his competitive edge, to be honest.
I agree. He plays well. He plays hard. He's finding that little routine, like with Sobey being aggressive, finding ways to impact winning. And Bolden off the bench, 13 and 9. He is getting better and better each game. His length, his ability to rebound is elite, and then he stretches the floor. Sydney, watch for them as they are going to improve as the season goes along with their pieces coming in together. They've still got an injury of a starting wing, but they're going to be good. And I'm always cheering for Brisbane, or more, I would say cheering for Sydney to lose, especially when we're chasing for that first spot up there. When teams are around the same situation, you're hoping they lose. That's
fair. Top two clash next week. Melbourne, Sydney in Melbourne. I'll try to go to that one. That should be a goodie. Should be a great one, hopefully. But yeah, what do you make of Quat Noise has kind of, he's made a name for himself coming out and saying some stuff. But this one, I'm pretty sure he just came out and said, I've got the 6 man of the year in the bag, in my pocket. What do you think? Did you see that one?
Yes, I did see that one. And you know what? I like it, man. I like it. He sets his goals. He makes it known. He makes it public, and he chases after it. I'm a big anime fan, so like Naruto. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but he was chasing. He wanted to be like the mayor of his town, Hokage, is what, and so he used to say, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to chase after it, and he ended up achieving it. So Courtney right now, I mean, he's single-handedly won him a game, and if you're doing that off the bench, you're helping. And right now, he's aggressive. He's shooting the ball well. He's scoring lots of points for how many minutes he's playing, and I back it in, and he's playing well.
Yeah, for sure. There's 100% some truth to that whole "speak it into existence" quote, because it just puts it in people's faces. It makes them think about it, and then it motivates you as well. All right, let's take it home. Who are you hyping up, or what are you hyping up this week? Give me something good. Hype someone up. I just want to hype someone up. Go on a bit of a rant. Anyone that's caught our attention, just give them some love.
This one a bit generic, but I just am loving right now the crowds of all around the NBL. I mean, I'm hyping up the NBL crowds. That comes from promotional work. That comes from the game growing. That's coming from people showing out. You got the throwdown that was sold out or very, very close to it. Jackie's being sold out every game. Perth being sold out. Brisbane fans are showing up. Adelaide was rocking at 10,000 the other day, and it's every gym is getting to its capacity. People are showing up. The environment of playing in these games right now is definitely the best it's ever been since I've been in the NBL, and it's fun right now to go on the road or to play at home.
How about those times where there was no crowds? I always look at that vision. I was editing a video the other day, and just like in the background, the stands are just nothing, and you're like, damn, that was a weird time. So it's a great shout. It's a great shout to have those crowds back. Mine's more player specific. WNBL. Not sure if you know of Taylah Simmons, but she plays for the Melbourne Boomers, and I found it really cool because on the weekend, so Sydney sometimes do like a double header with their like Sydney Flames and the Sydney Kings playing back to back essentially. So the women started out, the men finished off the afternoon session, but I found it really cool because she played in the first one, and then second game for the Sydney Kings game, she put on a photography vest and was just like on the baseline taking photos like I would. I just found that really cool to play a few hours before, straight away get into another side passion of hers, I assume, and just like take some photos. I found that really cool.
No, that is absolutely awesome. That is super, super cool. And yeah, that's nothing but awesome. So you might have to, give some lessons, give some tips, the best in the business. But that's pretty cool. Like the same day chasing after two passions. One's a job, obviously. Maybe the other one is as well. That's epic.
Yeah, I just found it really neat. I didn't actually, I wouldn't have known it unless she put that as her own like Instagram story. So the insights that sometimes we take for granted on social media, it's good. It lets you get to know these players more.
Wow, this is a negative space. I'm just going to start chucking up random things I'm grateful for.
This is incredible. This is the best grateful for I've ever heard.
Well, this week, my grateful for is books. I love books. I know it's a bit of a random one, not a lot of basketball related, but so recently I'm an audiobook guy. I also read. It's the only thing I collect. So we had this conversation at training the other day. We were talking about collecting and collectors and stuff. And Beth was telling me how she goes into a lot of people's houses for a paramedic's job, and there's a lot of collectors. It surprised her how many people collect things. And then one of my assistant coaches said one of his best mates collects stubby holders. So 300 stubby holders he's got. And my thing that I would say I collect is books. It's the only thing I've really kept and traveled with over the last couple of years. I've got a nice little shelf with a bunch of books on it. But I'm grateful for the knowledge inside of them. I'm grateful for when they become art stored in a room. Grateful for books. But I do have a question for you. Do you collect anything? Are you a collector, or do you know any collectors in your life? Have you done the cards? Is there anything in particular?
It's a great question. I wouldn't say I am of any sort. I feel like a lot of like basketball hoop heads, they just love their shoes, but that's something I've never gotten into. So I don't really, not even that. A lot of people collect like jerseys and merchandise. Not really me either. So I'm just avoiding the question here because I don't think I'm really much of a collector or a hoarder, so to speak. But I am trying to think of my dad has like a nice collection of coins. He's got that. So sometimes he kind of, handed some of them down as he went. But nah, I got nothing. I was going to ask you actually, did Beth say that she found out any weird, like what's the weirdest sort of collection that she walked in on and that was, PG friendly? Is there anything?
Nothing that off the top of my head I can think about right now. This was a conversation a while back, but I might have to get back to you. My dad collected like hats growing up, so he never would wear them. So he would collect them and chuck them up in his garage and hanging them up, and he had all these hats. But maybe it will change for you now that you own a house, and maybe it'll change for me. Now you got a little space, something you're like, oh, that would look cool there. Next minute you got 30 things. But obviously you've got your grateful for still to go. But I'm throwing out a question for everyone who's listening. do you collect something? Have you ever collected anything? Let us know so we can discuss it on the next podcast. And we're just interested. We just want to hear what you guys collect and what you enjoy collecting and looking after.
Hey, I like that. I like that a lot. What was the last book you read, by the way?
Ooh, Diary of a CEO.
Yep.
I just finished that, and then The Way of the Superior Man. I get through about a book a week, and so especially with us traveling, I audiobook at double time speed and then take notes on it. But I'm about to listen to a new one that Magne recommended, Titan or something. It's a football player that for the All Blacks, and so he recommended it as a really good one. The Art of Winning or something like that.
Something like that. You're much better at reading than I am, because actually during Europe I kind of got into reading just because I have a few more downtimes and stuff, and I was thoroughly enjoying that. But then I haven't been as good ever since I've come back home. But I'm currently reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't know. I think that's a pretty well-known book. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I'm pretty slack in sort of reading it. I used to be like, okay, there's going to be like half an hour before bed every night, I'm going to pull that book out and read it. But I probably do it like once or twice a week, so I'm a bit slack.
Well, I like it. Well, right now, you're living up to Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Building Leverage Online. So it is a good book. It's one of the all-time kind of self-help books and financial influence. So it's a good book.
That's fair. I'm going to stay on the generic theme for Grateful for, because I'm grateful for just different types of food. Because before I met Jess, I was pretty boring. I was pretty just like classic sort of Aussie meals, and I had like a few, like 3-4 meals in my repertoire that I could actually cook. But she's introduced me to a lot of like different Asian foods, different cultures of that form. And I actually said to my brother, we've got to take you out one time and just like give you these foods that you'd probably look at and be like, not sure if it's for me, but they're delicious. Like some of the stuff that I've gotten introduced to, very, very nice. And you got
to give us an example now of something you looked at, but now it's won you over and something you thoroughly enjoy.
Well, I was never a big like soup guy, or just like broth, like any sort of like even ramen stuff. I don't know, anything with a lot of liquid. I was kind of just like, but now it's very enjoyable. So we had like curry laksa the other day. That was very nice, a bit spicy actually, but very nice. But just different things like that. And just like different types of noodles, and it's good. There's some good stuff out there. Funny enough.
I like it. I feel you. It's always awesome when people introduce you to new food as well. So
it is.
Next time I'm in Melbourne, we might have to go somewhere, and you're gonna have to. I already eat that type of stuff and absolutely love it. But I know that you would show me the best spots. Have you got a spot in Melbourne for any of our Melbourne listeners?
No, just Jess's parents' place. They're great. They're great cooks. No, I don't actually. I do have some more local shops in where I am now. I'm gonna try out a few more of them, but I'll get around to them.
I like it. I tell you what, nothing better than a good home cooked meal, though.
100%, especially when you get leftovers.
Well, we got leftovers up and coming this week. Is there anything else before we end this and wrap this up that you've got up and coming this week? Something you're excited for? What's heading into this weekend? You said Sydney Melbourne game. Anything else coming up?
I don't think so, actually. I'm kind of keen for. Oh, actually, I need some days to get out in that garden behind me, because that's not looking great, and I have to get used to upkeeping a garden. So that's what my Sunday morning is going to look like, and then I'll probably go down to Melbourne, Sydney. So that's all I'm excited for.
That's an awesome week. The gardening is here. If you've been with us from the start, you're seeing us grow into adults. We still refer to ourselves as kids, but we're getting there. This week, I'm heading to Launceston again to play New Zealand. We drive up tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So yesterday, we're preparing for a game tonight when you're listening to this. And then we fly out the next day to Cairns. So a nice little 5-day road trip for me this weekend. And then that will be taking us into the FIBA break, which is an exciting time. Teams will regroup, some new coaches, who knows what's heading in. So I appreciate you guys for listening. Darren, take us out.
All right. Yeah. Happy Thursday, everyone. Good luck on your first coaching game, Justin Tatum. I'll be watching. And shout out to your mum again. Thanks for supporting. Thanks everyone for supporting. But have a good Thursday. And that's a wrap.